Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the ESL studios for our coverage of the Overwatch World Cup group stage matches. I am Mitch Leslie here with Jason Kaplan, of course. Sorry I had to leave you high and dry yesterday with my dental issues, but...
Don't worry, we got Flame here off to the side. He's actually going to be doing a TriCast. Thanks. Big shout out to Flame actually yesterday for filling in when we did need him. I don't think you have the biceps he has, though, unfortunately.
Give me some time, bro.
The chest press potential. But yeah, so we had some games yesterday. We had only two, unfortunately. We had Austria up against Norway, then Austria up against the Czech Republic, where Austria did win the first initial match, then lost the second. But over the course of the entirety of yesterday, we had quite a few matches played, and we'll go ahead and show you those really quick on your screen, just to give an idea of what games were played yesterday, even off air, and how they kind of turned out. So in Group A, we had actually Poland pick up a victory, I'm assuming against South Africa, since that's the only team that actually has a loss in the group so far. And then we had Team Ireland play two matches where they won one, lost one. So actually it could have been Poland up against Ireland. I don't officially know fully what the schedule was between the matches and what they played. Group B hasn't played a single match yet, so hopefully that changes today. I know we actually just got a Hungarian stream, done as well at the same time.
Yeah. So, few matches there happening today. We should see a few of them. This is going to be an interesting group. Group C. So, Team Norway coming out on top, 2 wins yesterday. Croatia and Portugal still chasing their first wins, and France and Ukraine yet to play. So, that's actually the first group we're going to be looking at today, but we'll get back to that in a sec. Group D, yet to play. We should see at least some of those Sweden games coming up today. Also, Slovakia and Turkey. We'll see a bit of them later on. Group E, Team Italy already having played one match, and Team Bulgaria. That's the only matchup we've seen between those two. And then there's Group F, of course. We've got the Czech Republic, Austria, and Serbia, all with matches recorded. So far, looking pretty good for the Czech Republic.
Czech Republic actually looked really good yesterday, and they were actually a really, really strong team. And I think there's actually a really interesting factor of what's going to happen for second place, because Spain, we can assume, would be like the top team from the group just because you actually have a lot of pro players on the team like Bromos, Harry Hook, and Winghaven. But second place is really close because even though Czech Republic did beat Austria, it went the full 3 maps. They even tied on Volskaya. It's a really close group right there.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are now jumping into a Group C match for today. It's going to be France versus Croatia. Now, the map pool is set and it's locked in. It's going to be Dorado, Eichenwalde, and Ilios. Now, those 3, and they're played in that order specifically. So we are going to at least see Dorado and Eichenwalde to start off with.
You're going the old German way of saying it, right?
Well, actually, it's spelt in the old German way. So if it was in current German, there'd be no E at the end of the word, but you have to pronounce it.
I've heard so many different ways to pronounce it. You say how you said it again?
Eichenwalde.
So I've heard that. I've heard Eichenwalde.
Yeah, you have to pronounce the E because it's the old style way.
So
and if you say
it's so hard.
It's a dialect to say like shin.
Yeah.
It's hin. Eichenwalde.
We're not going the Cologne dialect either.
The Cologne way is Eichenwalde.
Eichenwalde. Yeah.
That would be the way you'd say it if you're in Cologne. Anyway, so we're jumping in pretty quickly here. Already going to be into Dorado, and we'll try and give you a little bit of an idea of who we are looking at in this particular match. Of course, France and Croatia. I'm pretty psyched for this one here as well. On the French side, it's going to be D-Gun, Crew, Alpha Cast, Kitty, Nox, and Mikolo. And for Croatia, we have Gravity, Nello, Berkey, Maniac, Scrax, and Cape. Now, a lot of the Croatian guys have a fair amount of experience. Gravity was pro in SF2 and semi-pro in Counter-Strike. Scrax was actually quite a good League of Legends player as well himself. So we've got Maniac who played a lot of CS. Cape and Rello have a little bit of competitive experience across those two as well. So we'll have to see what we come out with here. D-Gun loves himself a little bit of those off-the-wall picks here. I don't think we'll see anything too crazy from the French. I know they've been practicing hard, Jason, because I know that there are high expectations on the French as France is a very strong Overwatch nation in general. So everyone is looking to see these guys perform. It's definitely a lot on your plate.
Yeah, a lot of people were actually interested to see how the lineup kind of finished off for France in particular. I know AlphaCast, because we actually work with him. He's literally in the same building that we are. Not playing right now, of course. And he definitely wants to prove himself out there to not only his own viewers, but to a lot of people of the world. But let's look at the lines we have coming in for Croatia on the defense. They were initially running a defensive Genji, which is a little bit questionable, but I think Berkey is the man to really look at here. A Tracer. We don't really see Tracer too often on Dorado, at least on the defense.
It's super
and there's
risky.
not a lot of flanking routes for him to really use and provide as an opportunity to pick up kills, but you can already see off the bat, he's actually being very aggressive.
Yeah, it's a little bit risky, I think, sometimes. Well, if you get picked off as that Tracer that easily, then, well, you're already, leaving your team sort of behind in a bit of a way there as well. We do have the McCree coming out for Nello here, so in terms of the team composition, the Tracer is the only thing that really might raise an eyebrow per se, but I like the French lineup here. They're coming with the Ana just to be boosting a Kitty, actually with the Ana Golden Gun, so it's safe to say that, well, they have a fair bit of experience on this particular hero. So that Nano Boost is going to be coming in hard and faster as well. It's going to be that triple tank composition coming through. Kitty now getting some shots in for the backline. It's Mikolo doing a heck of a lot of the damage in the front there. See, he's getting that healing whole time. Does miss a bit of a hook there on towards Cape, but they've essentially forced the Croats back off this point. Pulse Bomb comes in, but the shield blocks it out.
Catches on to Kitty, though, at least for them. And Nello, he tried something interesting. He actually went from the bridge to try to flank around. And yeah, got a kill into Deegan, but the problem is the rest of his team has died. And Berkey, he stalled for a hell of a long period of time, but it's not going to be enough in the end, as France will take the point. And also, I want to credit the lineup that the side of France does have. So, Mikolo on the Roadhog, if he pulls you in, you're going to get pretty much instantly slept by Kitty or charged by Nox, and that's basically a guaranteed kill. And considering, Nox is a pro player over for Rogue, you've got Crew as well for Misfits, you got Deegan on Melty, they know how to play well together, and that's what's going to be really dangerous for Croatia to have to really kind of contend with.
And this is the standard NIP composition, as some people are probably wondering a little bit about it. A triple support, triple tank. So very forgiving, very sort of safe to play. There's a lot of healing with 3 healers on your side of the team. And of course, the nano boost that Kitty now has available is going to be devastating if you do put it on a Reinhardt or a Roadhog per se, because it's so hard to kill them. With the Graviturge surges coming in now from Croatia, you can see now in the backline, Berkey trying to get some damage done here. He's forced to back away. The Manella gets a nice 2-man Deadeye, and now Gravity in the back of the fight having to just try and do what he can. Berkey, again, spent a lot of that fight in the midst of it, but is not able to come out with too much, and the French actually wiped this one completely.
Yeah, they're able to hold on, even though they lost 2 people, not immediately, but from the Deadeye, because Berkey went in and actually helped break the shield, and Nello held on to his Deadeye just long enough, but you're up against an experienced team of France. Again, a team of pro players, a team who have been competing at such a high level for such a long time, and they're able to just outlast with the help of the Sound Bearer being used. And not to mention, they didn't even use Transcendence within that actual Graviton Surge, because Deegan didn't have it up at the time, but now he's going to have it available so they can push aggressively, and the Earth Shatter won't even hit.
That's right, Charge coming in there as well. Deegan going to be laying down the Transcendence over the rest of the team. Kitty actually puts Maniac straight to sleep and then finishes him off with a bit of extra damage over the top. The French hardly slowed down here. They get to that second checkpoint quite comfortably here. Now Nello, we know he's been trying to flank here, but the rest of his team is crumpled and he's been left on his own off towards the side.
And Mikolo, again, he's been just hitting, I think, hook after hook after hook. There in that last fight, he caught out onto Cape, and from that kill, they're pretty much able to eliminate any sort of Sound Bearer, any sort of follow-up. Nello, though, somehow able to pick up the kill on Mikolo, but the thing is, yeah, you get a kill there, and it's got to feel good, but the respawn's right around the corner for France, and not to mention, it still takes a while for this payload to even get into a position where you can defend on Croatia, so it's not really that big of a pickup for them. If anything, it loses out on quite a bit for him, but Berkey charging straight through, just getting sped up by Cape, just picks up a triple kill.
Sometimes the best way to sneak in is just to bash down the front door with a bit of a shield there as well. That's a very robust play, though. I mean, you get a Zarya shield on your Reaper who just goes in with the ultimate. If the enemy team aren't necessarily ready for it, you're going to have a bad time. So, nicely played. I mean, that's a bit of delay here for Croatia, but really France have been allowed to make so much progress across this map for very little investment of their own. So, they're looking pretty good anyway. They've got a Graviton Surge. They've got a Hold Hog. They're going to have a Nano Boost coming up very, very shortly. This is going to be a pretty scary fight here if you're the Croatians.
Actually, I like what they have, though, in terms of composition, in terms of what ultimates they have available. They could be really impactful off the back of Maniac with Earthshatter. Nello actually goes in really deep by himself and somehow doesn't get punished, and that's a Graviton Surge being used on top of that.
Yeah, he tries to get Crew. Actually, Crew quickly dodges back behind that little pillar as it happens there. So now Nello has to charge him down, and of course, we know what McCree can do here, especially if he's hitting those headshots. But Crew stays alive somehow. Nello can't challenge this one out. It's a shield now for Crew. Cheeky that he gets himself out of there. But another Graviton Surge being used, but the Transcendence of Deegan going to keep his team nice and healthy. Berkey having to back away very, very quickly under the cover of the shadows as Deegan and Nox continue to whittle through Croatia.
And I think, if he gets booped into this, I think that was out of AlphaCast, booping the Reaper into his own team. Yeah, we'll give the benefit of the doubt there for the most part. But even with how that kind of fight went, so you had Crew attacking Nello in the back lines in the 1v1, which actually took Nello a hell of a long time to even pick up the kill. But in the meantime, the rest of France got a 5-man Graviton Surge. It forced the Transcendence out of Deegan, but they didn't have the damage on Nello to help burst anyone down. But look for them again. They had the speed boost. They had the Death Blossom to be able to secure the kills. But Nello he's playing super aggressive here.
Yeah, he's actually going to go after AlphaCast with the help of Berkey manages to pick him off. But the high ground, well, is essentially given up for the most part here, but now they're going to come around the side. You can see Berkey just trying to tease, just trying to make sure that he keeps France honest now by just working in towards their backlines via this angle here. He obviously can't go in 1v5, but this is keeping France essentially in place. Yes, Croatia gave up the high ground, and now that's going to go towards France here, but to see if France can make it happen with only 5 players now.
They're going to be flanked from behind, though, and not to mention AlphaCast has no chance to join his team. He's either just have to kill himself or somehow come around the other side. But now Berkey has a perfect opportunity to pick up some kills, at least cause some disruption towards the back, but there's no frontline push out of them, unfortunately, and that Earthshatter, I believe, coming out of Nox doesn't really hit too much.
Yeah, but he has the Nano Boost on him, but now most of the enemy team are actually up on the high ground, but Nello gets picked off. He went for a Deadeye there. A little bit obvious positioning, though. It's easy for Nox to capitalize. Oh, my lord. Lovely work there from Kitty, managing to put Scratch to sleep there and allowed Noxious to finish that kill off very, very easy. Some nice individual plays coming out from Team France here. Now one more decent fight is probably all that Croatia will have left. They're going to push out. Maniac very, very slowly coming in with the Graviton Surge. He avoids it. The Earth Shatter hits no one at all, though, and now Maniac's going to be caught out on his own. He's forced to charge on in. Berkey's out of position as well, and Crew just holding on towards that payload, trying to put some pressure down. But the sound barrier now coming out for Croatia. They've got Nello, they've got Berkey. Berkey goes down, though, and Crew sitting towards the backline now wants to hunt down that McCree. He's fully charged. He's ready to roll, and it's going to be easy enough for him to pick that kill off. It is Croatia falling apart here on this final point, and it is the Frenchman to get it done with 1:50 left in the bank.
Just to remind you guys at home, we are using the new competitive mode, so it's not time-based system. It's not like we're using for the Overwatch Atlantic Showdown. Time necessarily is not a determining factor. It comes down to who can get the furthest in the allotted time that you have in total within the game. But I have to say, looking at Croatia Nello, like, how aggressive he played on McCree was pretty insane and like even unprecedented to what I've seen before happen out of a lot of teams, because obviously McCree, you don't really have a good escape mechanism. You don't really have any escape mechanism, especially if you're using your tumble just to reload really quickly and take someone down. They were dependent on Scrax, or sorry, not Scrax, it was on the Cape in particular, on the Lucio, to actually give him the speed he needed to run away if time allowed him to. But France overall, I mean, this is probably what we would have expected out of them in general, just from being 3 pro players on the team. Berkey, though, the Tracer in the beginning wasn't actually too bad. I think the problem with his Tracer, though, is that they didn't have a strong enough front line to stop them from coming through the underpass in the beginning. And from that, France was just able to build too much steam, too much momentum as they finally got through into the plaza, into this big statue area.
The problem is with running a Tracer as well is that, like, if you're in the back line, you're either in the back line flanking or you're in the back line and you die, then your team's sort of forced to fight 5v6 anyway. So it's a bit of a gamble sometimes when you do want to jump down from high ground and actually take fights and go pound for pound up against the enemy team.
And the thing is, Genji is basically 10 times better in this situation just because there's so many walls you could use to flank with. Tracer doesn't have very many avenues to actually kind of flank around behind you with these blinks, so it's a little bit hard to play a Tracer as effectively as you could play a Genji. But Berkey did do a good job for the most part. I mean, he was spamming. He actually caught, I think, France off guard on the initial attack, because they're kind of wondering why is there a Tracer here, and no one was able to really kind of punish it onto it. And even with the pulse bomb being used and actually picking up a kill, it just wasn't enough to hold them back. But either way, here we go. Now Croatia on the attack. They got 4 minutes to capture this first point, and they're running a Bastion here, Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the kind of maps where you can do it, where it's not a hybrid at all.
Presidente.
It's called the, well, they call this the Batmobile strat, I believe.
Batmobile?
The Batmobile strategy.
I could see that.
Yeah, so obviously a lot of arsenal on this payload here. Berkey obviously just needs to stay alive, and this actually might force some different positioning here coming out from the French. They probably should flank here. You can see Kruno up on the top side with McCree, something we never see him play anymore, so always good to see that. Now the shield goes over towards Berkey, but you know, Crew can still work with his backline. That Anna's very vulnerable to McCree, especially when he has a high ground advantage. But Nello finds Kitty here. The kill was actually, for the most part, going in favor of the Croatian side. The French get to the payload, but the Croatians have already moved up on towards the left.
Where's Berkey going, though? Because he's the man to really watch. And the thing is, when you have a Bastion in your team, you're so immobile because you need to play around the Bastion to make him effective. You need to have him on the payload. And that's where you saw France try to focus down onto this Reinhardt shield, trying to take it out of the hands of Maniacs so they could get onto the Bastion. But just like that, Croatia has gotten France off guard with this Bastion strat, and they're going to capture the first point.
It's not even that. I mean, Nello just took on Crew and D-Gun himself and came out the victor there. So the fact that you have a Bastion on the payload adds threat, but when you've got a McCree who's in the front line taking down the opposition DPS players, you are going to get that payload across the line.
All right, so France, I mean, I wonder if they're going to switch anything up, because the Bastion, I mean, the thing is, in this area, when you have a Bastion on the payload and he's pushing around the corner, it's so easy to drop on top of him and completely eliminate him, like to make him pretty much be pretty much absolutely useless. Problem is now is that he's at ultimate. He's at 95%. He's going to have it in just a few seconds. So if they drop, they're dropping into a hell of a lot of damage. Not touching Nello there.
Yeah, Shadow comes down though as well. Maniac also knocked to the ground, but he himself is going to get himself a bit of a nano boost now, but he can't hit anything when he's caught up in the air. He's swinging for the fence, but there's just no ball to hit. Now he's at least found a target here. He's going to try and pressure on towards Mikolo, but finds himself a little bit on his own. Fortunately for him though, Nello is doing great work. Again, gets himself 2 kills. Kitty and D-Gun both fall. And D-Gun, it's been a long time, Jason, since we've seen him play a damage role here. Maybe he still needs to shake out some of the rust because Nello's been outperforming.
Well, they were actually running triple support on attack initially, because they had AlphaCast and Lucio, they had Kitty and Anna, and they had D-Gun on Zenyatta. Yeah, exactly, triple support, triple tank. But it was so funny there is that you saw Maniac get knocked into the air with nano-boosted Reinhardt, right? And Alpha immediately booped him away because like, holy crap, don't come up on top of this roof area to actually fight us. But here we go, Transcendence being popped. Let's see how it's going to go down. So far, Croatia already lost that first man.
Yeah, that's right. Nello going down. He was the key for them. It's good that Crew sort of picked him out of the mix there. Now, double graviton surge going on. That's a lot of gravity, to be honest with you. But now the Nox going to come on in. Maniac actually gets pinned up against the wall here and Scrack's caught in the mix. This time, the French finally start to exert themselves a little bit more. They're going to be holding on towards this point. They get the wipe that they were looking for on Croatia. And this is where they're going to build up some more of that time.
And you see the switch France went with. So they actually went with a high mobility composition. They have a Lucio for speed, but then you look at D-Gun and Crew paired him with Nox. You have such a deadly trio between these three players.
It's a very different switch.
Yeah, and they could hop onto anyone. Like Berkey on a Tracer just doesn't have the health to survive these three people going his way. And if you're the back line of Croatia, which Nello, who, funny enough, isn't even playing the back line, is going to even have even more of a rough time. They don't have a tanky enough backline at the moment, or maybe enough healing in general to really kind of survive this. A Reaper is something they're definitely going to need to switch over to, but Berkey's gone to the Soldier instead of the Tracer.
Interesting. But this is a very King of the Hill comp that we're seeing here from Team France, Jason. They obviously, you know, Tracer and Genji be able to get into the mix there as well. Nello trying to go for a Deadeye. They at least get onto the payload. Now, this is going to force an engagement. Crew goes in, pulls out the Dragon Blade, finds Nello first and foremost. That's important. On towards Cracks now as well. You can see now they're even benefiting from the sound barrier here. So this is all that the French would need to win this fight out. Crew will continue to chase down onto Cape, pick him off. And that should be a comfortable fight win here. He's going to even chase on towards Maniac, but it's unlikely. Actually, now with the Discord, we probably can finish him off here.
And Nox single-handedly won that fight for them too. So we had Berkey, we had Cape, and we had Gravity. So we had the Soldier, the Ana, and the Zenyatta on the high ground directly above where they are now. And Nox jumps up there immediately, realizing this is a three-man squad that we have to deal with. He knocks them off by popping Primal Rage, and by keeping those three men occupied, it allowed D-Gun and Crew to really pair in to pick up these kills. So it's a really smart play to Nox there to actually eliminate and assess where the threat was most important out of Croatia, and then deal with it himself.
Oh, nice little reflect there as well. Crew manages to bounce Nello's flash back at him, and that allows D-Gun to go in towards the back here. He went in for a pulse bomb. Doesn't seem that he got a kill or even much damage at all, but Scrax is fairly low. Now most of the fight's going to occur inside the top of the church here. Sacrilege, if you may call it that way. It's going to be Scrax's mech getting taken down as D-Gun just being very, very careful to keep himself in those back lines. Crew, however, has the Dragon Blade back on towards the point. He used that already. Now going to chase down on towards Nello. Looking to find him, and it's an easy enough pick-off. Now Nox goes down, but again, Jason, like you said, gets a lot of value for his life.
And it's such high risk, high reward with the way Nello's actually playing this one, because this should be France taking the fight. Croatia just lost too many men. Because he's playing so aggressive, it's high risk, high reward, right? If you're playing super aggressive and you catch on to Kitty or you catch on to Crew, maybe because he doesn't expect you, or D-Gun or Alpha, you pick up an early kill or two like that, you can completely turn the tides of the fight. But the problem is Crew's all over him on this Genji, and he's trying to outplay him in a 1v1 kind of statue. So if he can't win that fight, that aggressive play out of McCree doesn't net you anything. And even at this rate, playing an aggressive McCree like this, when you need to protect Gravity and Cape in particular, is rough. And oh, Nox.
This is happening. Okay, so Berkey didn't realize that the Nox was right behind him. I don't know how you miss a Winston, but I guess sometimes the sound cues can be a bit funny. Crew going to jump up topside now here as well, and there's a good amount of ult advantage available here, at least for the French this time. They got 3 to work with, and they're big ones. Pulse Bomb comes in, Nello falls to that one there as well. Crew helping it across the line with a bit of Dragon Blade action. Now looking for Cape, the Biotic Grenade, keeping the Ana alive for quite some time. And the Harmony Orb, Crew's been off a little bit more than he can do here. Cape managing to get away with that one now, just focusing on the healing task here, keeping Scrax nice and healthy as he heads topside. But Nox is still there. Now we're going to see the Self-Destruct coming in, and Nox is looking for the back line, and it's an easy kill to find a Zenyatta when you are the Gorilla.
And you can see him just bouncing in and out of his actual shield as well to make sure he doesn't get actually taken down, because he has died before up against Gravity. And it looks like in the meantime, Croatia's just going to back away. But they have 18 seconds left. This is basically their final chance to push this payload into their second checkpoint. And even from there, they have to have a clean transition to the third. Nello again. I mean, a Deadeye by yourself isn't going to accomplish much, but he's trying to make that big play happen, while the rest of the team is trying to run in to even touch the payload, throw it into overtime.
Yeah, stalled out for Berkey, as you can see him just dashing across that payload now. It's likely that he will drop very, very quickly. And where will the rest of Croatia be in the meantime? They've got no time to get towards this payload. They're going to be stuck in the seat. And the first map is going to go over towards France there as well. They finally managed to find the composition that worked for them there as well. Yeah. The Winston, the Genji, the Tracer all paid dividends when they managed to get into the back lines and disrupt the Croatian advance.
I like the way, actually, France at the end held that area, because you had D-Gun on Tracer, you had Crew on Genji, and they were playing with the high ground. So you had D-Gun actually holding the high ground, where we saw Croatia set up many times. You had D-Gun able to, Crew able to just walk up the walls with the Genji, as you do. And once they saw them coming in, they threw out a pulse bomb immediately. D-Gun had his blade out ready to go. He got the tag onto the first person, giving him a reset to jump into the back lines, and just completely overwhelmed them. In the meantime, you had Kitty playing on the opposing high ground side with Zenyatta, who can obviously heal from there, put down discords, and provide every single thing of utility they need to actually win a fight like that. So in general, I think it was a superior hold coming out of France and how they defended at the end. But it was still interesting to see the way Croatia played, more particularly Nello, with just how aggressive he played a McCree. He's played McCree like he played a Winston. He was like into the backline every time with no fear.
There's two types of McCree players. You've got like your AKMs who will sit back with his Zenyatta and just have very safe positioning. And then someone like IDDQD who's self-professed aggressive McCree apparently. And back in Rogue he wasn't very aggressive, but he seems to think that way now as well. Who will always go forward, always be rolling forward. So you can tell a lot between the McCree players in that regard there, but it was good to see the switch up here. I have to say, Kitty did a great job on Anna on that attacking side as well. That first sort of push was really, really good.
So I was talking to Flame about this last night, and what makes Anna so strong is if you leave her alone. And I mean, obviously you can say that for any hero, but particularly Anna, because she can sit so far back, and if you don't have like a Tracer, Genji, or Winston to jump on top of her, she's constantly attacking you. She's constantly healing. The biotic grenades have more effectiveness than probably a lot of ultimates in the game, just because the amount of extra healing you can provide, pair them with a payload and a Lucio, and obviously triple support that they did have. And then the sleep darts. Like, it's so hard to deal with an Anna who can really pump out a hell of a lot of damage if she's hitting you, and not to mention healing. So it's almost just as bad as leaving a Zen in the back lines and not touching them. You have to deal with them, and Kitty just wasn't touched for the most part, which is credit to the way France was playing, and also discredit to Croatia not kind of transitioning to deal with it.
The sleep darts for me was really the icing on the cake. I think that separates like a good Anna from like a very good one, as well as if you are hitting those consistently, because it's actually quite often an underused part of her kit because it's not super reliable. There's a delay.
It's hard to hit,
the clocking animation, but I saw a few occasions there as well where the enemy Zaya, I think that would have been Scrax, just put to sleep randomly out of nowhere. We were on someone else's perspective there, so it's a good way to make your presence felt as that Anna player and hitting those sleep darts.
Even Anna in general, it's a hard hero to play around. Like, if you do hit a sleep dart, does your team not hit that target on accident, right? Because I've done that many times in competitive. You have to like say, okay, we have to not hit this person. And if you have like a high AoE comp, like with a Zarya, you're gonna want to obviously hit everything you possibly can because you get your ult quicker. You can potentially kill people faster. But in general, like the whole idea of hooking someone in and sleeping them immediately means they have no chance to escape. And then if you pair them with a Reinhardt charge, they're almost instantly dead, depending on obviously what kind of hero you're playing. So it's a really strong combo. It really is, to pull in someone and then sleep immediately when they have nothing to do from there.
So I want to see how flexible Team Croatia can be here. We're going to be moving on to a map that is going to require a lot of teams to think on their feet. It is going to be Eichenwalde, and it's going to be very, very hard to really conject, I guess, to what we expect to see here. Now, most teams off the bat understood that you can flank as an attacking team on this map, right? You can squeeze a Pharah Mercy around the side. We can illustrate this to you later on. You can also use a Genji to get around there, if I'm not mistaken. The first choke point can be very, very difficult to play into if you are an attacking side. Of course, it is that small bridge with a small underpass, and you can't access the top of it as an attacking team unless you jump up there, which is obviously quite dangerous. So a lot of teams try and use the platform sort of across from that bridge that attackers can access and try and, trade shots across there and eventually put their way through. But if you need to be quick, if you can't afford to waste your time, then you need to go aggressive and maybe get a flank in with a Pharah and a Mercy. So we didn't see much of those two in that previous map there for Dorado. It's quite possible that we will see them pop up here. D-Gun was a prolific Pharah back in his time, played a lot of Pharah very, very early on. In fact, that was basically his main hero. Crew can play Pharah as well, but Crew used to play on the same team as D-Gun. They forced him to play Lucio. He didn't like that, and so he left and made Misfits. That's the story there. So now Crew gets to play a little bit more of that damage role here in this team. So, when you have a team like France where you have a mixture of well-known influences and pro players, you sort of want to play around that as much as you can. So Nox has actually been practicing tank a lot lately. We talked to him at Gamescom. He's obviously the Lucio or the support player, generally speaking, for Rogue, but Nox has been saying he's been practicing tank. He said it to us outside when we were having that chat with him on the evening when I was eating that massive bit of chicken. Thanks, Blizzard.
Yeah, and steak.
Yeah, so just bear that in mind here as well. This is not anything weird for Nox. This is not putting him out of his depth. And also Mikolo, not too bad on the Roadhog there as well. Can be quite a pivotal role in the team when you're sort of required to get those picks and be the one to initiate fights. And he's hitting hooks, so I can't really hold against him.
You talked about this first point and how it's just such a choke-heavy point. So this is like looking at Hanamura, right? Like, there's obviously another route you can go by flying over.
I'll show everyone that one. You can get around this point, right? It's pretty hard to do, but you can do it. You can get all the way around this side.
If you're Tracer or Pharah or Genji.
I don't know. It's quite a long way. I think.
Yeah, it is a long way.
Do you go over the top of the building? Was that
Yeah,
what it was?
you can.
Yeah,
You can as well. Yeah, so you're going to depend on really high mobility composition if you're Croatia here, which they do have. Nello and Skrax together, like even Cape as well. In Berkey, actually, they have a really mobile composition that can easily get behind you. But my question is Mikolo going to hit these hooks? Because if you're trying to fly over that wall or that building and they see you, that's just prime pickings for a Roadhog to pull you out of the sky.
Yeah, Farah gets countered by this comp pretty hard because it's hard to really get enough damage down. And again, yeah, the Concussive Blast didn't really hit there. Skrax wanted it a little bit lower to knock Nox further forward, but it's hard to combat this positioning. So no flanking happening here as well. And you can see the team fronts actually just give this point up for the most part, but there it is. Crew's just going to pick you out the sky. There's no respect for Farahs who hover too close to his vicinity. It's going to be an easy kill for him. And here, oh my god, he's taken down Skrax, Berkey, and Nello. So all the damage dealers here on the side of Croatia have fallen to Crew's Peacemaker.
Yeah, Maniac had a really tough time there too, because Reinhardt in this position is really difficult, especially when your team does play a Mei. Because he got wall off by himself, he got charged into the wall, and then he got pulled in by Mikolo, and he had no chance to actually react or do anything. So they have to kind of adapt. As long as D-Gun keeps playing this foreground, I don't really see Croatia breaking this defense unless they sent someone behind. And Nello has actually switched over to the McCree instead of staying on the Genji.
Yeah, Skrax just got hooked in there as well by Mikolo, so again, not a great start, but there's the Mei falling by the wayside. Nice little shot by Nello to pick that one up now, and a little bit of momentum building up here. The Earth Shatter actually doesn't really connect there. Nox a little bit wayward with that particular one there, and Berkey will work his way around the side, but Crew gets himself a quick double. That was off the back, of course, of Nox helping him in that fight, and there will not be a point take for Croatia here. They are going to have to back away and wait. Berkey was trying to get into the back line there, and Crew found him amongst the midst.
This has to be one of the best maps for Mei, at least this point in general, because not only do you have this tight choke point to play with right there, but the actual streets getting to the point are so what's the opposite of wide? Help me out here. Narrow.
Thin.
So narrow. That a Mei wall is completely going to cover it off and completely going to separate your team if you're not in the right position. I would like to see Croatia play like a Winston Zarya instead of a Reinhardt, because the shield isn't giving them too much whenever we see D-Gun just wall them off completely. They need to kind of swarm in toward the back line, at least make them turn around. I think Skrax isn't doing too bad of a job. I just don't like necessarily how he's attacking from the front instead of attacking from the side or the back.
Sound barrier comes in now as well, and the barrage coming in over the top. It's Skrax only able to get Mikolo for that one. Was a good sound barrier used at the time by the French side. Now he's got a lot of work to do getting these rockets away, but he has the benefit of not really being focused down right now. This is where you want to be as a Farah. You want to be not receiving any attention, but the Earth Shatter comes in. Great little land by Nox there. He's going to have to bang the shield up very, very quickly, and it's not going to be fast enough. He is eventually going to be picked up by Berkey, and now Crew's got a lot of work to do. Comes in with a flash, Fan the Hammer, trying to get enough damage on towards that Reinhardt, but he can't get the second round of Fan the Hammer on. The shield was in the way. He's going to fall here, and this point should fall in due time. It's going to be AlphaCast and Mikolo still up on the point here. Needs D-Gun. That's a airborne icicle there as well. He's not able to use it again, but the wall to get himself out of trouble. This is so cheeky.
He's stalling for so much time, not to mention enough time for actually the Reds to come in as well out of Kitty. They get pretty much the majority of the team that did die in the last few seconds on that point back up to go. And Mikkel's even popped his whole hog up to the side as Kitty's just still not being focused down. This needs to be the primary target out of Nello and Skrax.
Oh, and a Deadeye here could be nasty. Skrax at least is going to fall, and Crew's going to be happy enough just to get the Farah in this case. He's going to challenge out Berkey, the headshot as he comes past. Nice little flick of the wrist there to secure the kill. Knocks on towards Maniac, cleans him up easily enough. There's another hook in, but a res. This is a big one here, Jason. This could be a chance for Croatia.
It's actually a really huge res, but Crew's gonna take down Skrax. Again, an Earth Shatter comes in. This time, I think, out of Maniac yet again. Doesn't really connect onto too much, but in the meantime, D-Gun is more than happy to freeze people up left and right. And even the headshot on a Berkey takes down the Genji, takes down the Mercy. And so far, Croatia just doesn't have a response to D-Gun on this Mei so far.
No, I mean, they're trying to pick him off when they can, but I don't even know who they're trying to focus here. It's very, very hard to tell. I mean, the Genji's the Dragon Blade. They have no res, though. They used all their big ults in the last fight. They're actually going to struggle to take this point now without them here. Wall comes in. They're going to wall off Maniac, leave him on his own now. D-Gun are going to go in and try and turn this guy into a big old popsicle. It works out. It's going to be Maniac getting caught in now. Now, Cape and Skrax went over the top, but they're lacking their tank. They're lacking distractions. But still, Berkey went in pretty nicely there, in towards the backside. A lot of offense heroes for this Croatian team. They're aggressive. And Berkey now sitting on the point. This demands attention. He's ticking that one over, and it will finally have this point. But the Blizzard comes in, but it won't be fast enough.
Honestly, that was fantastic out of Croatia. Because you had Maniac go in, right? He had Gravity next to him off to the side. He got walled off with Gravity. So you had the Reinhardt and Lucio out of position. But then what did Croatia respond with? Skrax, Nello, Cape, all coming over the actual top of the wall together to actually save his life. He was able to actually keep Maniac alive and ready to go. And then they were picking them off as France got a little bit too aggressive, a little bit too cocky there. So honestly, that was a really good response out of Croatia. I wish we could have saw it a little bit earlier on, because they've honestly lost it on quite a bit of time. But they have 2 minutes left here to make this final push work.
D-Gun looking for the Mercy. Does find Cape eventually, but a little bit of healing from the Cape. D-Gun, don't do it, please, Laurent. I'll never let you hear the end of it.
Don't pull us up aside.
Yeah. No.
Or me.
Or me. I did it as well the other day. I actually let her kill me. I realized I wasn't going to kill her, so it didn't look as bad, but I got wrecked by Mercy too. It happens. Oh, Nello going to get hooked in there by Mikolo easy enough. Now, good old advantage here for the French side. They've got a res, they've got a sound barrier, they've got a whole hog and an earth shatter, so plenty to work with here in the kit. And now Croatia probably just want to force these out in this next fight. It's probably unrealistic to think that they can actually fight through those ults. They're very impactful. They are AoE and they are going to wreck them. So perhaps just, try and tease these out a little bit. There comes the first one there. Nox sort of out on his own there, trying to go for the earth shatter. It's going to work out though. He's going to get himself a couple kills. But the idea is to force these ult out without using any yourself.
And again, we had on the side of France, D-Gun and Crew together, focusing down onto Cape, onto that Mercy, to just pop immediately, not let him have a chance for that big res to come back in. Because you look on the side of Croatia, and again, this is something Flame and I talked about, is off the back of a res out of Mercy, what do you have to escape? Or are you just left all to your own? And Nello, Scrax, even Maniac is just this big tanky target with a fully refreshed shield, and Berkey all have the opportunity to actually escape. So the power of Cape and the res is extremely strong in this phase, and especially this composition and this part of the map. Problem is, it's really hard to deal with France, who's going to play on this high ground. Mikolo, he just hooks someone in, gets free kills, but the payload is finally moving though, so Croatia do have something going.
That's right. Nello as well does have the Dragon Blade ticking along here. Only gets Crew for his trouble now, and the sound barrier comes out a little bit later in the piece. The reflect coming on towards Crew, but Crew still gets Cape for that one. Nice little pick up for him. Now he needs to really make the damage stick. Trying to go in, but Maniac's shield is standing in his way. But look in the back line, it's Mikolo. He's able to get behind a Croatian squad here and try and do some damage. Unfortunately, he's missing a lot of shots, I'm not going to lie with you. And he's also not going to be able to get off that whole hog either. He's going to fall down, not able to achieve too much in that fight there. Crew was hoping to distract from the front side, but Mikolo wasn't able to get the damage done on the back.
All right, so they're in overtime here. Now we need to see France get him off this payload one more time. Berkey actually going to the high ground. He doesn't have his ultimate ready just yet, but him and Nello can flank around the entire team. And with this bridge, with the knockup potential, Gravity and Alpha Cast, it comes down to you two. Can you pick up a cheeky kill? The barrage coming out of Scrax is just immediately going to be disrupted, but there finally Cape does get a res.
That's right. Now Berkey gets on towards Nox there, but we did see an Earth Shatter come down. Now one comes out from Maniac, but Crew's not touched. They were pushed off the payload for too long, and that's going to be it. Only one checkpoint achieved here for Croatia. And it's not an easy map, I'll be honest with you. It's very, very hard to build up solid momentum on this map, or at least recover from losing it. But the payload doesn't even get to the castle gates. Just one for Croats.
In general, I think the second point is, getting to the second point is probably one of the hardest places to play a Mercy if you're already on the back foot. Can you actually go to the point just so I can try to explain it, I guess? Or at least why I think this?
Yeah. The first point?
The second point, on the way to the second point. Like this area right here behind you to the castle. So in this position, because of the defending side, they have so many angles to attack you with, it kind of makes any sort of assassin excel even further, right? Because Tracer will get up on the high ground, Genji can get on the high ground, Reaper can get on the high ground, and makes it really susceptible to play a Mercy in the back lines, because there's only so many places you can hide from while still healing or damage amping or being in range of an ultimate. So Cape constantly got pressured time and time again by the McCree up here towards the high ground. You had Deegan as well up to the side playing Genji, trying to obviously cut up how many directions Cape could go. I feel like having a Transcendence there, or even a sound barrier, like those kind of support ultimates, can transition out of that phase so much easier, because you don't have to worry about your support dying, or worry about sending your entire team in to die and hoping your Mercy can survive and not get assassinated. It's really hard to play that position, I think, as a Mercy. So you look at that, and I'm assuming a lot of people out there are like, oh, Cape, relating to Esper or something like that, for you guys that watch over in the NA matches and were big fans of Luminatia Energy. I don't think that's his fault at all. It's just, it's so impossible to play a Mercy in that phase of this map, especially when you're against people who are pro players and they know where Mercy's going to hold, and they know that Mercy's probably their highest priority to pick off.
Hard to find safety. A lot of ledges and angles to come down from, like you put out there. So let's see now what the French can do here. They know what their goal is. They at least have a checkpoint set. They know how far they need to get. That's always a good thing, actually, for an attacking team. So Kitty now coming in on that Mercy roll. They're going to try and go over the top with quite a few people here. Even Digon wants to go over. This is quite interesting now. See if they can make this one happen. You can see already Nox is in the back line. This is a very divey composition, and it seems to be working out. Crew, guess who he's found? Of course he's found Cape now, trying to get that finish off, and he does. It's a Mercy down now. No chance for any extra heals in this fight, especially with Berkey falling. The French have straddled this map out, it's clear to see, and they're making it work for them.
And the point's going to be taken basically immediately here on this first attack coming out of France. And now Croatia, I mean, they basically have to give this one up. The chance of them holding on to this point right now is very slim. obviously with it already being capped over, but they have to get in position here for the second defense because 107 meters is basically to the bridge at the second point, and they have to put up, at least 3-4 minutes worth of time on this defense if they want to be able to hold on to the series.
You can see already the French are pushing far afield here to manage to secure themselves some extra ground. Now, Kitty was hoping to heal up Nox, but Nox fell at the top of that parapet there. And he was a little bit caught out from the rest of his team. Crew there, you just saw him jump over. He just got picked off by Nello. So now that McCree's starting to come alive a little bit more here. Good little height advantage. Is this throwback?
The old times, yeah. Throwback Thursday, even though it's Saturday. Deacon on Farah here. He's definitely a phenomenal Farah. But as you point out, with France getting aggressive here, they try to prevent any sort of chance for Croatia to set up a defense. But they're actually all on the high ground here, so they realize they need to hold this position. The problem is, if Deacon gets a knockoff, or if they're not able to contest the payload anytime soon, this is going to be a big detriment to them.
And he sees the engagement coming in from Maniac, and now Deacon knows he needs to go for the back lines. He finds Berkey, now turns his attention to the tank line. It's going to be Scrax to fall down. Nello at least picks off Kitty, but the rest of his front line is already down. Can he do much more in this fight? He's looking for Deacon. One shot hits so does the flash, but of course it's going to be Nox coming in to ruin his day.
It's just hard to even play McCree in that situation when there's a Genji, a Farah, and a Winston to deal with, and not to mention Miklo allowing Nox to be even more effective with these shields. But we're into the final push here. This is the actual point. They have to contest. Berkey switched over to Widowmaker, but they're not even giving them a chance. Croatia's being held inside their castle.
That's right, they're going to push forward. Now, the Widowmaker switch here for Berkey. Maybe a bit of a salute to the French side. It's not going to really work out at all. Crew just gets free reign here as well. Just going to right-click and dash his way through the remainder of the Croatian side. They offer no resistance on this last point, and the Frenchman looking to get the battering ram across the line a little bit further, but Scrax now into the back line. Nox jumps off the edge for God knows what reason. Scrax, though, suffers a similar fate, and that is a done deal. It's going to be the French to go up 2 maps to none.
And he gets thrown into the depths, into the pit. But that is France, yeah, picking up their first initial match in the entirety of the World Cup for themselves into the group stage. And of course, we still have more matches to come up in just a little bit of time. But honestly, credit to Croatia. We saw, I think, some good things. Nello being that aggressive on McCree was refreshing to not just see him sit back and to not be afraid to get into the back lines.
Fair point.
Though it didn't necessarily work out 100%.
It's the Deacon play of the game, boys. Is it late 2015 again? Well, this is off the back of the Graviton Surge to finish that match off there fairly comfortably. By this point, obviously, Croatia didn't even really have much ultimates to work with. I think we saw the Earth Shatter come out there a little bit earlier on. That's a 70% participation on kills there to Crew. Really, really nicely done there. He and D-Gun. Definitely suitable pickups because, of course, though, I believe Crew and D-Gun were added to this team on captain's pick. They weren't initially voted in. I'm glad they were added in, though. That gives the French a lot more muscle when it comes to the damage dealer roles here. And you can see it on display here. Croatia wasn't really able to stand up to the French when they managed to get their engine running. But that first point was non-existent. There was no hold there for Croatia. They were not ready for what the French were bringing.
The May, man. No one ever expects May.
So good, dude.
She's so strong. The thing is, I talk so much bad about her, and I talk about how I hate her all the time. But I play her so much because she's just so good. The only strong counter to May is another May. Funny enough, I think. I can explain this if we do get into the position to have it happen. But yeah, May, insanely good. I almost guarantee we're going to see her a lot more competitive play too because of the changes to her. But now, the problem is here, Mitch, because we had to have the game scheduled out an hour and a half between them, and because of the way they actually schedule them, we don't have another match for another 2 hours.
2 hours?
Yeah, 15:30 at 3:30. It's currently almost 1:30, and that will be Finland up against Hungary.
Okay, well, I mean, there's not much we can really do about that.
There's no other games going on right now, guys. I'm looking at the schedule. There's a game. Oh wait, there's actually a game at 2.
Which one is it? France?
It's France versus Ukraine. So technically, we could do it at 2, and then go into Finland versus Hungary if we want to add another game to our schedule.
Let's do France.
Okay, so then we'll be back at 2 for France versus Ukraine. That actually should be a really good game.
Yes, I want to talk a little bit about their rosters when we come back for that game because Ukraine.
Well, let's give them a little teaser at least.
Well, there's quite a few interesting players in the Ukrainian roster. Of course, we know. I believe Kenzie's in there.
Yeah. So I don't actually know what's with Kenzie because I was told he's being replaced as captain because of something. Nothing bad. I think it's he's unable to help or something like that.
Really?
I don't know if he's actually still being played on the roster.
Oh, that sucks.
Not to put a kink in this.
Because they got Kenzie and Optimus in that lineup. Yeah. Who are the ones that stand out to me as well. I think Kuroneko as well is in there. So
yeah, we'll show you what we're looking at right now so you guys have an idea.
Point at the monitor. Don't need to do that. Let's have a look.
So anyway, what are they going to see, Mitch?
So Kenzie, right? Plays for Anox, sick player, really, really, really good. I don't know too much about these other 3 below him, voted in by the Ukrainian players, but I know Optimus actually plays for Reason Gaming right now. Very, very strong player as well. Just flexes through a variety of different picks. It's very hard to tell what he's going to be going for. And then Kuroneko as well, I've seen around before. So Kenzie's a really sick McCree. I hope he ends up playing it here. If you look at their team and sort of who plays what, it's actually quite nicely balanced. So, yeah, going up against the French, that should be quite a close match. Because it's a good split. Both teams, to my knowledge, have 2 or 3 top players, and then obviously a mix of people who are very well known to the community and sort of play a lot of Overwatch as well. So, wait, what? Okay.
I had to translate the page because there was the German one.
German, right. So, yeah, I mean, your Afcast, Miklo, Kitty, Digun, Nox, and Crew. So, Nox and Crew, sorry, were put in. Digun was voted in. Ah, there you go. Anyway, so 2 p.m. CEST. We're going to be coming back for that next game, France versus Ukraine. So we didn't initially intend to do it, but we have the time, so why not we just fit more games in for you guys at home. We're going to go to a break. We'll be back at 2. See you then.